Fellow cops, hear me when I say this. Slow your roll and get your marksmanship down pat.
Hi everybody, welcome to today's bonus badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host as always, John Correa. With me, 30-year veteran law enforcement dude, Mike Williver.
Today's video comes to us from New Mexico.
Wilderness Tactical has been around for longer than the gun you're carrying has been, and they have been making high quality products for concealed carriers for literally decades. I wear their low pro belt every year. The webbing is the best in the industry, and I won't wear anything else. If you're looking for a good CCW belt, check them out.
If you go watch the original and read the news stories, this is a very complicated situation. This guy's been weaving in and out of traffic at high speed. He then apparently they started chasing him. They tried to get him with stop sticks. He went over into the other lanes in oncoming traffic to get away from him. So they terminated pursuit. And a little further down the road, he apparently pulled his car over, got out, and is trying to stop other cars. So now the officers are going to get out and contact him this third time. And we have badge cam audio from here. So we'll talk about the dash cam in a minute, but let's listen in.
I already know.
Why?
Because that's what I don't know what I did.
You're going 90. The reason why, go ahead and stand up, dude, and turn around. Go ahead and stand up and turn around.
Why am I getting shot?
You're not gonna get shot. Go ahead and turn around.
Why am I getting shot?
You're not.
Backward.
With your hands up. With your hands up. With your hands up, man. Come back towards me.
Why do I have to get shot like that?
Walk backward.
Or if you want to, walk towards us. Walk towards us. You're not gonna get shot. Today you're going home. Come on. Walk towards us.
Just walk backward.
Walk backwards.
You meet me halfway?
Huh?
Yeah, we need you to get down so we can put you in cuffs safely.
So we can cuff you up.
Safely.
Back up.
Sarge, can I borrow your taser?
Can you stay back? It's just him.
Okay, cool. Hey, come over here though.
You gotta turn around though, dude.
Hey, look it.
Turn around.
Why are you running, dude? Sir, don't move, please.
Can you finish me, please?
No. 5, 6, 7, CENTCOM, can you get a 55 shots fired?
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Here we have it from the dash cam as well. You see the officer from the dash cam, you know, that cruiser on the left, the other cruiser on the right. And you've already seen it from the badge cam. So you can see they're trying to kind of stay away from this guy. Watch our officer to the left, show him his hands. Hey man, I'm okay, you're okay, we're okay. I think it gets a little crazy here now as he tries to draw the officer's gun, gets shot twice by the other officer, and then goes down. Now, they're out in rural New Mexico here. Eventually, you go watch the original. They do try to render first aid to him once they get him into custody, but this did prove fatal to him, and we're gonna think about some lessons here.
John, I just heard we do online monthly seminars. Is that true?
It is true. Every single month, we do a seminar online, deep dive on topics of interest to self-defenders. You can hit the link in the description and join us. I think that the very first thing we gotta talk about here is that every call is unique, and they all have a chance to go just absolutely crazy like this.
It's the best and worst part of the job is that every day is a little bit different. But like I said, part of it's the worst part of the job is some things are just an absolute poop sandwich.
And you're just gonna have to take a big bite. There's just no way around it. So again, when you get that call, you've got to maintain the level head because on that day, you got to get your A game there. And because your A game is what's gonna be required. Now, the next thing I really want to talk about here, Mike, is that I think that their verbal communication with this guy and their commands were very confusing. He's like, okay, stand up, get on your knees, come to me, turn around, hands on your head, pat your belly, mother may I, Simon says. You gotta pick one person to communicate and you gotta give consistent communication.
Cops, if you're in a situation like this, whoever starts talking first, that's the person talking and they need to keep talking unless your partner is the one talking and they're doing such a terrible job they're endangering you in the situation. Otherwise, let one person give the commands. Concise, clear, crisp commands that are easily followed by a person with contaminated thinking.
And again, if you feel like they're doing a terrible job, you should maybe have a keyword or something. Hey man, I got comms, whatever, to transition away from that so that you take over, but don't both because you end up in really weird spots. Now, the next thing I want to talk about here, he asks him, and I think this guy's his sergeant, hey Sarge, can I borrow your taser? I think that's an absolutely terrible idea that he asked him if he could borrow his taser. Now listen, if you say, hey Sarge, you're on less lethal, I have lethal cover if we need it, okay, but you're not gonna borrow someone else's taser.
I don't understand that, because if either he's been trained on a taser or he hasn't. If he's been trained, he should have one. So if he's not trained on a taser, he has no business operating one whatsoever. And I'm not sure why we're moving in this quickly.
So obviously something is really wrong here with this guy in a significant way. We've had wrong a whole lot. So we're walking in pretty casually on this guy to go, oh, okay, we're gonna do that thing. And again, if he has the taser and he's trained on the taser, be like, hey, you're on less lethal, and make sure that you communicate that way rather than try to borrow it. I think that was a pretty significant mistake here. So now what we're gonna see as they come up again is you're gonna see him kind of come in on the guy, and now he shows him his hands. Now this is an interesting de-escalation strategy here, because the guy's like, what, am I under arrest? Am I in trouble? Whatever. And so he's trying to show the guy, hey man, I am okay with this. And quite frankly, I think it's a little non-traditional, but I don't have a problem with it.
You know, we might agree to disagree in this one. For me, it kind of signals a little surrendery to me, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I think he's trying to do something different, and so he tried this.
And I think he's a little vapor locked here. Can I borrow your taser? Come here, sit down, you know, pat your belly, rub your head, those kinds of things. So I get it. And he's just trying to show the guy, hey man, I'm trying to get through this without violence. Okay, fine. And maybe saying that, hey man, I don't mean you any harm or whatever, with a quick flash of the palm, something like that can be helpful. Okay, fine, we're gonna give him that. Now, as the sergeant here is going to close in on this guy, now I'm starting to really have some problems from a tactical perspective, because you notice this guy is just way out in space here, and he contacts him to try to put handcuffs on him, way out in space, and that gives this guy the space and the strength and the leverage in order to try to take his gun.
When I taught defensive tactics, the number one thing when you're arresting someone, unless simple shoplift or something and there's not a lot on the line, somebody like this, you've got to put him in a position of disadvantage before you approach him. Get the guy on his knees. You don't have to yell and scream at him, but hey man, did you get to your knees for me? I don't feel safe right now with you standing up. I'm not sure what's going on with you today, but if you can just kneel down for me, face that way, that would have solved all of this, because there's no way he would have been able to counter assault like that from his knees.
Right. Well, and this guy's clearly in an agitated mental place, and he's, you know, was on his knees for a minute and then got up and didn't and whatever. Maybe you can't do that, but then maintain your distance instead of closing in and doing this, because now what we're going to see is the impetus for the shooting, which is he turns around and tries to grab the guy's gun. A, this is why officers all wear active retention holsters, which is very, very good. B, I think that the sergeant here did a pretty good job of defending his firearm and pushing this guy off him. But see, now this is where our officer's impetus is. This is where his decision is, that he says, look, if he does something like this and tries to grab my partner's gun, I'm gonna have to shoot him.
Absolutely. There's no other option at this point. He trying to go wrestle with the guy. In about a second, they're going to end up on the ground. You're not going to be able to see where his hand is. You're not going to be able to see where your partner's gun is. He really left him no choice at this point.
And we can say that these officers maybe did some things that we kind of like wondering why, maybe weren't the best, but nothing that they have done has justified what this guy is doing. He's just clearly out in left field. Now, it's going to take our officer about 1.75 seconds from that impetus to get the gun out and get a shot off. But I will say this, notice he had to put that shot in a very tight window. If he has that low left Glock push that a lot of people do when their marksmanship is not strong, he's going to shoot his partner here.
Marksmanship, marksmanship, marksmanship. You've got to do dry fire. You've got to get to the range every chance you get. If your department's not giving you enough training, you're going to have to pay for it yourself. Write it off on your taxes, whatever you got to do.
And I think the number of departments that actually give their officers enough training, very few. So that means you're almost certainly going to have to do it yourself.
Yeah, my old agency was pretty good. They were starting to up the number of hours per year, but it was still woefully insufficient.
Right.
A lot of the California agencies are doing 2 weeks stand down, just mobile field force training, 2 weeks of just training, which is phenomenal.
Now, you saw this guy actually go around behind his partner at this point, and so now you notice that our officer dips his firearm down so he doesn't point a gun at his partner. Excellent work there. And now, again, this is his second impetus to press the trigger. So he fired one shot at the guy, brings the gun down to see, okay, do I still need to shoot the guy? And again, this is about 0.6 of a second before the second shot breaks. This is where his decision happens, and the guy is still grabbing at his partner's gun, so absolutely justified. See the gun come up here, and when the shot breaks, the guy is falling, but again, human decision making as it is. So as far as the shooting goes, I think this guy was incredible.
Very justified. I want to note what you said earlier about him lowering the gun to check to see if the first shot, in addition to lowering it to not cover off on his partner, but it also getting that gun out of your eye line for a moment to get that look, to see what's going on, to see where his hands are is critical.
Very good stuff there. So I think at the end of the day, this officer protected his partner well. His marksmanship was absolutely stellar. He hit both of the shots that he took and protected his partner. The lead-up stuff we could talk about.
You could tell for sure this guy was confident in his shooting.
Yeah, so these are the kinds of crazy calls that officers go on every day. I think that there's so many anomalies on this one. Let's make sure that we're working on those verbal skills. One person communicating it all the time. Put your suspect at a position of disadvantage before you try to cuff them, and make sure that your marksmanship skills are absolutely top flight, because in that day you'll need it.